Well, hello there, I'm Détroit. What you're watching me sketch right now is a small peaceful lake coming out of a waterfall and with a waterfall leaving it. The environment is jungle-like, or even tropical. There is a hut on the shore with a boat attached to it, probably for fishing. Next to the lake, a series of wooden platforms and ladders allow whoever lives there to go across the waterfall on a hanging bridge and leave the valley. So far, I'm just sketching around, trying out different compositions. In the end, I don't think it will matter too much, considering how I will fill every centimeter of this scene with mosaic-like shapes. But it's too early for that. I'm getting ahead of myself. So while I finish the sketch and ink the different parts of it, let me tell you a story. I was wondering what I could draw today, and I revisited one of my oldest projects. I started it literally years ago, when I still used a Wacom Intuos without a screen. I was also using a laptop instead of a beast of a computer, much more powerful than what I actually would need. Back then, when the Photoshop file became laggy, I assumed it was because of the computer. While that's not entirely wrong, I now also know that it's because the drawing itself was way too big. The details were too small to be seen, and when I wanted to paint bigger things than detail, the brushstrokes would take a long time to compute. So I abandoned the project, but I kept the idea. This drawing has the same vibe, even though in execution it's completely different. I still don't want to spoil the original one though, because I still believe one day I can make it work. What I can tell you is about the idea of it and the lore around it, if I can call it that. The project is called Pixie Village. Basically, it's a whole-ass valley with a lot of waterfalls and lakes, and wooden buildings and pagodas. All the buildings have this Polynesian style of being on poles. All the platforms are wooden, so are the ladders that are everywhere. There even are a few rope bridges and swings. Pixie Village is a paradise on Earth. It is also very small. My concept is a storytelling that goes with the drawing. It is a travelogue of an explorer going through a deserted island's jungle in the Pacific Ocean. There, the explorer stumbles upon Pixie Village, a small village inhabited by pixies, or Lilliput, or gnomes, whatever you want to call the tiny people. At first, the pixies are hiding from the intruder, but the explorer then settles carefully next to it. He tends to a broken house, or lifts a rock that was obstructing the path of the pixies, after which they accept him a bit more. You get the gist of it. I haven't written the story yet. The idea of it is a traveling story about a paradise on Earth. There is no bad guy, there is no dilemma, there is no disrupting the peace of the place. That much the explorer knows. And finally, the story would conclude with the explorer leaving Pixie Village and later attempting to find it but being unable to. As if Pixie Village was a dream, or just a fleeting moment, or if two separate realities subtly overlapped for a brief period in time. Now, that's the story for the original concept of Pixie Village. Again, what I'm drawing today is but a diluted version. It's just a landscape scene with the same origin, but it's not a full story concept. If you really want today's video to be a concept rather than a fun drawing time, then we can consider the blobby mosaic shapes that cover every surface. I like mosaics, and overall the look of coloring book pages, but I want to make it original. It's not the first time I experiment with stuff like this, and it's not the last time I'll do so either. Maybe one day I will make a whole coloring book with different styles for every page. For example, today I didn't want to fill the entire page. There is positive space and negative space. Positive space would be the inside of every blob shape, and negative would be the outside, or the opposite. Does it really matter? The idea is that you can color only one part of it and still end up with a complete page. Or you can color the two parts differently. For example, one part with a daylight environment and one at dawn. The colors would be very different, and I bet they would match well. I'm actually writing the script long after finishing the drawing, and I'm just now thinking of doing that. If I have the time, I might add another portion to the video and do that myself. Stick to the end to find out. I might not film it, but simply show you the result at the end. I already filmed 2 hours and 30 minutes, and I don't want to add 1 hour more. That would make the time-lapse too fast, I think. On the topic of projects, one thing I really want to do, if I ever make an entire coloring book, is tell a story through it. Probably with no words, just pictures. I want to build a story that could be interpreted different ways. I've actually had this idea for a really long time, but this is a project that's too big for me, at least for this moment. Maybe one day, if I can focus entirely on arts and not work a day job at the same time, I will do that. The idea I've had for a story for a coloring book is that of a traveler. Again, it's a story about traveling, but it's not the same as the Pixie Village I told you a few minutes ago. My thoughts are of a space traveler that goes further and further away across the universe, and the laws of nature slowly break down. Concretely, this would translate into drawings that slowly become more and more abstract as the planets or places the traveler visits resemble less and less our own world. That would be cool. I want to make it a visual novel coloring book, or maybe I can add a paragraph or two per drawing from the perspective of the traveler telling their story. I think drawings are such a powerful tool for storytelling, it's almost a shame to draw only for the sake of making a drawing. I've made a video or two on the subject, but basically for me a drawing is only complete if its story is bigger than the drawing itself. It can be just a detail, or something implied, but I like when the drawing provides fuel to the imagination. When it makes you want to write a whole story around it, or draw a whole comics or something. Of course I can't write a book or even a novel about all the drawings I make, but the simple thought of wanting to makes it feel like a success to me. I'm just a sucker for interesting stories. And I have too many projects with not enough time. Eventually though, I'm bound to make something cool that combines all of my interests. If that's not a great reason to subscribe, then I don't know what is. While you're at it, consider liking the video and commenting with your ideas for drawings I should make. If you want to see more visual arts from me, I post everything on Instagram and Twitter, so you can go check that out. I'm Detroit, I like drawing and telling stories, and I'll see you in a few days. Bye!